Do you want a new set of armour that's affordable, arrives super fast from Europe, and also supports Ukrainian armourers at the same time? Then use code MOLLY at medievalextreme.com for free express shipping.
The battle is won generally in that 2v2, right? If we can, in that 2v2, the goal, and Craig and Brett are fantastic at this, the goal is to create a micro 2-on-1. That's a Craig phrase, I believe, or maybe it was a Brett phrase, I don't know.
I think that might even be a Brennan phrase, but yes, definitely.
Yeah, but it's the goal is to create a micro 2-on-1. And ever since my brain started thinking about this, I can't think about anything else. Right? I mean, it's literally all I focus on is like with my training, with my team for the last 6+ months, like everything in my head is about how to create advantage for 1 to 3 seconds, right? So creating advantage for 1 to 3 seconds is the goal because you can get a takedown with little effort. And the easiest takedown out there is the head rip. I just showed you 2 versions of that, or 2 variations of how to like cleanly head rip. Here's the thing, is someone gonna stand here and give you their head? Are they gonna keep your back? No, they're not. And if they know that you're back there and you're looking for a head rip, what are they gonna do? They're gonna keep their head forward, they're gonna keep their head buried, they're gonna keep their head in a safe place. So this is where the game begins, essentially, of how to create a moment where you can set up a head rip or set up a takedown. I'm gonna show you one additional takedown, but we're gonna get into it. It's the one we kind of went that you asked me to show you. Show you one additional takedown that is a gimme in a 2v1 scenario or 2v2 scenario. But ultimately, your goal shouldn't be to get the head rip, right? Your goal shouldn't be to get the takedown. Your goal should be mentally, rule number 1 is what? Stay up. Rule number 2 is keep your teammates up, right? So that's also rule number 3 and rule number 4. Rule number 5 is be a good partner, right? Like if I can set up a head rip for my partner, then I'm winning, right? But also if my partner is gonna set up a head rip for me and I don't recognize it, I'm just as bad as somebody that's not doing the setup for them. Does that make sense? Right? So I should be constantly trying to set something up for my partner and constantly mentally available for my partner setting something up for me, because they should have that same mindset of I'm gonna feed Daniel something, Joseph's thinking I'm gonna feed Daniel something, and I'm thinking I'm gonna feed Joseph something. One of us will get something, hopefully, right? That's the goal. So let's look at this. Stand back over there. Joseph, go across from me. You come over on my side here, right? You be on the rail, right? I'll just be wing as an example. And Craig, you can be the number 4 over here. So when we're fighting in 2v2, when you're fighting on the rail, there's a couple things. Let's talk about some couple basic failure points before we actually go into like how to set up some success. Couple basic failure points. If who sees like where's that longer axe?
Right here, bud.
Right. So imagine this is a halberd or whatever, like, or this is a long weapon. How often is this like the halberd? It commonly is, right? A lot. And they stand in this kind of, when they're waiting in this range to try to get these kind of sniper and type. Like I'm watching these two. Is this good or is this bad?
Man,
this is bad. This is mucho bad, right? This is seriously bad. Why?
You're vulnerable to anybody who gets behind you, and you're far away from the rail.
Yep.
I was gonna say my biggest one is it's very easy for these 2 people to beat the shit out of me, and it's very hard for you to do much about it.
Right. So I'm breaking rule number 2 in a couple ways, right? Unless I'm intentionally doing this as bait and I know stuff's going on, which might be the case, right? But ultimately, I'm also, what am I doing to his field of view in terms of the everything over here on the far side? I'm blocking his vision. I'm also like, if I'm focused this direction and I'm paralleling off the rail, right, I am ripe for a cross check. Okay, so if I'm gonna be a good partner, right, and I'm a good wingman, I'm actually always in a V off of my partner, right? That way I can see my partner, I can see them, I can see the field, and my back is to the rail, essentially. Does that make sense? Yeah. All right, so this is how we want to fight. We want to initiate our fight, and if we're not sure about our opponents, this is our cautious and careful approach. And then we're gonna play and kind of see what happens, right? So this is really important. I see teams all the time in this two-person setup, standing just like this. And all I'm doing is waiting for Johnny or Creed to do their thing and watch this person just go flying ass over tea kettle. In fact, if I'm Craig, I will try to like bait them. I'll even like lift my skirt up a little bit and show a little ass so they could try to hit it and stuff. So they're gonna like try to get in there and try to get some like, oh, I'm gonna get a good hit in. Oh, cool, so am I. Just wait a second. I won't do it, but you get my point? All right. So this is how we fight, this direction. Now, who's the bigger danger right now? If me and Brett are together and all things being equal, we're all equal fighters. Who's the bigger danger? Is it Joseph or is it Craig?
Joseph.
Okay, you say Joseph. Does anyone say Craig?
Craig has more potential.
Yeah,
Joseph
so
is the more
all things being
direct
equal,
impact.
if we're all 100% equal skill set wise, in my opinion, the biggest danger is actually Craig, because Craig has more opportunity for mobility. That's why the biggest danger on this side is me, should be me, right? Because in a 2v2, right, my goal is to create a 2v1 micro scenario, right? That's my goal. This person, if they're closer to the fight, will initiate engagement, right? And create possible openings and holes, right? That person is the danger. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, see how my brain works? All right. Now, whether or not that's the case, depending on who's standing over there, that's up in the air, right?
It's like
But
we
in-
talked about earlier. He has more potential. He has more options.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but all things being equal, the wing is the more dangerous, right? So, do we put our best grappler on the rail or whatever? Again, that's all tactics and all depends on who you're fighting and why and everything else, which is not overly important at the moment. Okay, so do we have any questions on like how to stand typically? No? We're good? Really simple. I just see a lot of people making that failure. Here's another failure that I actually see is I see this kind of thing where they're like this. I see this too where they're both trying to fight deep. Is this helpful?
Deeply no.
No.
Yeah, this is actually really, really dangerous because they can actually trip me over my own fighter,
Yeah.
you know? And so I see this happen on occasion too. So I want to stay on his hip, back behind him. And if I need to, and if this is an uber defensive scenario, I'm staying tight. Brett actually does a fantastic job. If you watch tape on Brett, he usually fights where he has a shield on this arm or the non-rail side, right? And he's actually protecting his fighter. He's protecting Craig from hard strikes, and he's keeping Craig completely protected. He's scanning the field, he's staying back, and he's sitting in a position of like wanton hatred where he is just waiting for that moment to move in and strike, right? And he's using Craig as his bulldog or whoever as his bulldog to press through. All right? I mean, at least that's what I've seen you guys do.
Yeah, that's my favorite position.
Yeah.
If I can be, I don't always get to be on the right side. I like being on the right side, but I generally fight left. But when I am right, I play that every time.
Yeah.
Love it.
Why to have your shield on?
Yeah, well, and I also like that lets me punch to liver,
Yeah,
which lets me
yeah.
affect this a lot more, and I can play tight with like heavy defense on this guy, and then like drive in with some meaningful strikes. So
Okay, so for micro 2-on-1, right? If we're two enemy, two friendly, right? Can we create a 2-on-1 scenario if we stay like this? No, we can't, right? We have to split. We got to split the team, right? So that's the big thing is how do you split the team, right? And you have to split the team for just short periods of time. So there's lots of different ways to split the team. Here's the simplest. The simplest way to split the team is to have your rail or have your wing crash, right? This is the simplest way to split the team. So if we're here and I'm going to be the wing and I'm going to crash, So I'm gonna bump and roll, essentially is what it looks like. Especially if this guy plays like halberdier position, where he's back and he's out, and maybe he's being smart, so he's playing back. This is the ideal if that's a halberdier or somebody that's because they're gonna play a little wide to get those hits, right? So, but he might be playing back, so he's also trying to be smart. This is a good bump and roll scenario for us. So bump and roll is simple. I see this, I see him playing back. He's trying to get those hard strikes on his leg, on his liver and stuff like that. So I'm actually gonna bump, right? And I'm just gonna bump and push back. And all I'm doing is waiting for my partner to get that head pushed up, right? As soon as it's pushed up, boom, right? And then second I'm here, I grabbed it wrong. Second I'm here, he's clearing to deal with my back, right? So the goal isn't this, the goal is for my partner to give me that head rip, right? So again, to see it real fast, if I see somebody playing a little bit deep and a little bit out, I'm gonna do what I call a bump and roll. And my partner's gonna know that I'm gonna bump and roll when he sees me shoot. I come in, boom, hard, right? I turn, head rips there, and I got it. As soon as he sees that come across, he's going. He's just gonna assume I got that head rip. And if I don't, that's okay.
You've separated there.
Because you're still not in
Yeah.
He's there and there. You two are
You're a step ahead. You got the tempo advantage right there.
Right.
Right.
And theoretically, we're trading up in position, right?
Yeah.
We did 2-on-1, but we 2-on-1 for the first thing that we talked about, trading up in position. We went from 2 even fights to an even fight and a fight with advantage.
Yes, exactly.
That's a good 2v1.
And usually that rail is going to play a little more square if they know they got a flanker. Like, you know, they're not going to just be like this right away. I mean, some will, but a lot. So that head rip will be just that really straightforward.
Yeah, it's often super, super clean. You know what makes it cleaner? Is if Brett here is actually, Brett does what we talked about yesterday. When he's here, he's gauntlet over, right? Or he's over the gauntlet, and he's sitting here and he's pushing center line, right? And he's doing this kind of stuff, right? And he's engaging, and he's actually forcing engagement, right? As soon as he sees me get past, he's able to clear that hand up and push that head. And he's trying to time it with me when he sees me coming around with that. Does that make sense? So the more attention that Brett can grab, the better that move works, right? And again, I have seen this, I've done this a lot, right? And it gathers there. They don't think that we're trying to fight as a pair. They think that we're just trying to fight. Yeah, even good teams don't think we're trying to fight as a pair. They just think we're trying to fight, right? So scenario number 2, right? Or do you guys want to practice this before we go on to the next thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So go ahead and practice that bump and roll. Again, you need to be conscious of where they're standing, and you got to be able to bump and roll. You don't force a bump and roll.
Do you like the look of our team's custom activewear? Are you in need of some of your own for martial arts and fitness training? Then look no further than xmartial.com. Stand out from the crowd with your own badass design. X Martial offer high quality rash guards, spats, training shorts and more, perfect for wearing underneath your sword fighting protective gear. Featuring highly durable and flexible materials, offering full range of motion while keeping form-fitting and highlighting your well-earned gains. There are dozens of amazing designs already on offer on their website. Check them out for yourself using the link in the description and use our code STEELWOLF for 10% off your next order at xmartial.com.